In the heart of the Midwest, a retired Special Forces sniper sought peace on a quiet 12-acre ranch. But when a power-hungry HOA president tried to control what wasn't hers, she triggered a battle she never saw coming. What began with a note about a rooster turned into a showdown that shook an entire community and exposed the danger of unchecked authority. This is the story of one man, his land, and the fight for true freedom. Nate Carter was used to the sound of silence. The kind of silence you only find after war. After years as a Special Forces sniper, he had chosen a different kind of battlefield, a 12-acre ranch outside Springfield, where goats roamed and chickens pecked under open skies. Here, he could forget what he had seen. Here, he could heal. All he wanted was a quiet life. But even peace, it seemed, could be interrupted by the wrong person with too much power. Karen Bellamy ran the neighborhood's homeowners association like a queen ruling from a throne of pettiness. Her rules were not just enforced, they were weaponized. And although Nate's land wasn't officially under the HOA's jurisdiction, that didn't stop Karen from trying. It began with a note, written in elegant but aggressive script. It read, "Your rooster is disturbing the peace. This community values tranquility. Please act accordingly." Nate didn't react. He had dealt with men armed with ideology and rifles. A passive-aggressive letter wasn't going to rattle him. But Karen was persistent. A week later, he found an animal control officer on his property, looking confused and apologetic. "We got a report about livestock in unsanitary conditions," the man said. Nate showed him around. Clean coops. Healthy animals. Nothing out of order. The officer left, embarrassed. Karen did not. The next day, a drone hovered over Nate's fields. Then another HOA letter. Then another complaint. He could feel something building. Nate approached her one afternoon. She was trimming roses behind her white picket fence. "You've got the wrong guy," he said calmly. Karen didn't look up. "I've got the right principles," she answered. "We can't let rule breakers chip away at our standards. You have no authority over my property." She looked up, smiled sweetly. "Authority finds its way. Mr. Carter." Nate turned and walked away. Not because he was afraid, but because he was planning. He had been trained to wait for the right moment. But Karen had never learned patience. She escalated, and she made a mistake. One night, Nate heard something outside. He watched through his infrared camera feed as Karen stumbled across his property, baseball bat in hand, cursing at the fence and shouting about enforcement. He watched as she smashed a wooden gate, her face twisted in rage. He didn't confront her. He pressed record. It wasn't the only footage. Over the next few days, Nate captured Karen driving across his pasture, screaming at a goat, and standing at his fence line shaking her fists like a cartoon villain. He compiled it all, clean, time-stamped, undeniable. Then he sent it anonymously to the HOA board. He waited. For once, silence worked in his favor. The next HOA meeting was packed. Karen sat at the head of the room like always, clipboard in hand, her usual mask of control back in place. But when the projector screen lit up and her own face appeared, unhinged and destructive, her grip on that clipboard tightened. No one spoke for several minutes as clip after clip rolled. The board members shifted in their seats. The audience watched in stunned silence. When it ended, someone cleared their throat and said simply, "Enough." The board voted. Karen was removed from her position, officially and publicly. A letter of apology was sent to Nate. It was short and honest. "We failed to recognize the abuse of authority. We're sorry." But that wasn't the end. The footage leaked. Memes exploded across social media. One showed her shouting at a goat with the caption, "Not today. Satan." Another zoomed in on her mid-swing with the label, "Karen Unhinged DLC." But behind the laughter came real consequences. Her husband packed his things and left, leaving a note on her doorstep. He showed up at Nate's place 2 days later with a six-pack and a quiet thank you. "She made life hell for everyone," he said. "You just gave us a way out." Karen moved away that week. But what happened afterwards surprised even Nate. Neighbors who had kept their heads down began talking again. Small gatherings popped up. Children chalked sidewalks without fear. One man finally put up the wind chimes his wife had loved before she passed. Another decorated his lawn for Christmas for the first time in years. Someone even asked Nate to help them challenge a fine over garden gnomes. At first, he declined. But the look on their face reminded him of something he had seen in villages overseas. People tired of being controlled. He agreed. The next few months brought change. The HOA rewrote its charter. Community votes replaced board decrees. Nate, despite himself, became a voice people listened to, not out of authority, but respect. The man who had once walked alone with a rifle was now helping neighbors build fences, repair sheds, and stand up for each other. It wasn't about revenge with Sham, it was about balance. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Nate hosted a barbecue on his ranch. Formerly timid neighbors brought casseroles. Kids ran through the field, laughing. A woman clinked glasses with Nate and said, "I never thought this place could feel like home again." Nate nodded, watching smoke rise from the grill. He didn't need to say much. The peace he had come looking for was never going to be silent. It had to be earned. Karen Bellamy never returned. Rumors placed her in a small town out west, ranting about lawn height and barking dogs to anyone who would listen. But no one really cared. She had been replaced not by another tyrant, but by a community that remembered it was stronger together. And Nate, he still got up at dawn, still fed the goats, still listened to his rooster crow. Only now, when it did, no one complained. They just smiled, knowing that sometimes peace begins when you stop backing down and stand tall, not just for yourself, but for everyone else still trying to breathe.